in the way that it ought to develop.
The civil society network wants the entire cabinet of ministers to resign. The call comes 1 week after the opposition leader called for the resignation of the Attorney General and the Health Minister. Both calls stem from the judgment in the Tuxedo Villas affair that found the government acted unreasonably in granting tax concessions for the Health Minister. The network's communications director says no government minister is blameless in the Tuxedo Villas affair.
It is quite another thing entirely to have the entire cabinet engaged in a matter which is unlawful. I mean, something like that has never been seen or heard of or done in this country. And I believe this is creating will create quite a lot of harm, not just for the image of this country, but how the people of this country view the government, view governmental processes, etc.
Antoine says the hard-working people of St. Lucia have been told to tighten their belts, work hard and strive for national development, but government ministers refuse to live up to those values. He says the days of double standards are over.
When we're looking at ordinary people who the government tells that they must play a meaningful, responsible, productive role in the development of this country, we must observe rules, we must observe laws in terms of developing the country. And then this very same government is involved in breaching the law. I mean, we have to take a stand. We have to say enough is enough.
But the Tuxedo Villas is not the only legal matter on the CSN's mind. Antoine says the case brought against Housing Minister Richard Frederick by the Customs Controller weighed heavily in the CSN's decision to issue this call. But it doesn't end there. He says CSN members are fed up with what he describes as misdeeds by the government.
The Minister for Local Housing, for Local Government and Housing, is embroiled in another court matter, which was initiated by the Customs Controller, for him to then turn around and sue the government of which he is a member, and for him to be sitting in cabinet with the other members of government. That is quite another matter. We have taken enough in terms of misdeed after misdeed, scandal after scandal, which characterizes or represents the almost 3-year tenure of this government's office. We're saying that the time has come for you to go. Please, for the sake of this country, I mean, if you're really interested in having this country move forward, in having this country developed in the way that it ought to develop, do the honorable thing and resign.
The civil society network says it will not remain silent on happenings in government any longer. Antoine says members will continue to agitate for government ministers to be held accountable for their actions. Alison Kentish, HDS News, Channel 4.